The most diverse race in SRX history, Michael McDowell shocks everyone with a win at Indy, and your local racing report. All that and more on the Flag to Flag podcast.
All right, episode 2 of the Flag to Flag podcast. Thank you for tuning in and listening on our wide array of channels. My name is John Dirugeris, aka the Motorsport Enthusiast, your host, and with my other host is Mr. Chad Barker. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good. Totally didn't just wake up an hour ago because we have to film this podcast a bit late. But yeah, I'm doing good. We had an exciting week of racing as per usual, both from Thursday Night Thunder up until the big shows on Sunday. So yeah, let's jump right into it with IndyCar. They were at the Indy Road Course. The only other series we had in the IndyCar sphere was the Indy Next series. Reese Gold finished third, James Rowe finished second, and Hunter McLaren led all 35 laps to take his first win of the season in the Indy Next Series. So yeah, let's get into IndyCar. And yeah, so coming into the race, we had Graham Rahal and Christian Lundgaard leading the field to green for 85 laps at the Indy Road Course. But the big shock is what happened in turn 2. DeFrancesco took the lead after his best qualifying performance. So he was leading for a good bit, but I think the only thing that really beat him was experience. All right, he doesn't have that much experience being up front, but I feel like that's one of the big things that came out. But also, huge implications to the points. Halfway through the first lap, the first caution came out, and it collected Marcus Armstrong, Scott Dixon, Roman Grosjean, and championship contenders Alex Blow and Joseph Newgarden. So definitely not what we wanted to see from Newgarden. Definitely, I mean, yes, we're a little bit biased on that being from Nashville, but
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But yeah, that definitely hurt. I believe with Scott Dixon coming back and winning, Alex Blow still leads at 539 points. But Scott Dixon's in second with only 438. He's 101 points behind him. And Joseph Newgarden moves to third. He was in second up until this race, moves to third with 434 points. We've only got 3 races left, and there's only 4 people eligible for the championship mathematically, being Alex Blow, Scott Dixon, Joseph Newgarden, and Scott McLaughlin. Only guys eligible for the championship. But yeah, I mean, what did you really see out there?
Yeah.
I saw some really good racing.
Yeah, it was really good racing, and you saw what could have been the start of a tragic downfall for Palou. We talked about it last week, where it's something very, very wrong is going to have to go into the way of Palou for him to lose this championship, and it almost did. It almost did this past week. Newgarden obviously lost some points. And it's still the same way, with Gateway, Portland, and Laguna Seca left. It's going to have to be something very severe in really 2 out of the 3 races for any of these guys to catch up. I mean, with being 101 points back, you're going to have basically 2 perfect weekends where Palou is essentially out of the race. And I just don't see that happening. I thought it was a great race. It was awesome to watch Rahal up there battling with his car. He's obviously been one of the veterans in the sport, so having him up there was always a good sign. But it's hard with Palou with the lead that he has to be able to say that anybody else can really contend. Yes, mathematically they technically can go that way, but he could have an okay race and still win this championship by a decent amount of points. So
he's one okay race away from locking it up.
Pretty much.
All right?
Pretty much.
You have 101 point lead with 3 races left, and yes, one of those 3 races being the next race, being Gateway, the cards fall into Newgarden's favor, but I mean, we still got he's a road course ringer, all right, and we've got Portland and Laguna Seca, 2 challenging, two experience friendly road courses.
Yeah.
All right, and so he's got that road course experience. Yeah. One of the big stories that came out, though, another one of the big stories, is Scott Dixon, after getting involved in a wreck on lap 1, came back to win the
I
race.
know. Well, how wild was
And
that?
he was
Yeah.
he was he was fighting off Graham Rahal, and yeah, Scott Dixon wins his 319th IndyCar start.
Wow. That's
Yeah, and
pretty
I'm pretty
impressive.
sure that 319 is consecutive.
I would think so. I don't
I'm almost
remember him ever missing a race. It would have to be consecutive. I would,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
almost positive it's consecutive. But we had Pato O'Ward coming home third. Yeah, it was a bit of a rush. It was a bit of a rough race for the Aero McLarens as well.
right,
They got beat up quite a bit. But yeah, let's that's kind of the big stuff we got. Of course, congratulations to DiFrancesco. You know that if I'm him, I gotta use that as momentum and confidence going into the rest of the
oh
year,
yeah,
moving on for the rest of the season. Let's use that. So, but let's look at what we got coming up. We got an off week this upcoming week, so let's talk about Gateway predictions. We talked about it last race. I mean, you can't argue with numbers.
right,
Joseph Newgarden is a huge threat to win,
right. Now, will it matter?
and
Will it matter though? That's the question.
that's just it.
Yeah,
That's just it. Regardless if Newgarden wins, Alex Palou has to have a bad race for him to have the slightest chance to take home this
right,
championship. All right. If I have a full if Alex Palou has a good race, he very well could lock up the championship
yeah, yeah,
this week at Gateway.
yeah. I mean,
And
it's easy. It's easy for him. He just has to not put himself into situations where he could possibly get wrecked, and he could run 10th, 11th, 12th. Like, I mean, he doesn't have to, which I know he probably
yeah,
won't run. He'll be up there in the top 7, top 5, probably.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's his championship to lose, and he's going to have
yeah,
very bad luck. And Newgarden or Dixon to have very good luck over the next 3 races to be able to pull it off. So.
yeah. And it's Dixon. I could see pulling something out maybe at Portland or Laguna Seca, but like I said, at either one of those races, all right, even if it comes down to Laguna Seca and Dixon and or Newgarden and or McLaughlin still have a mathematical chance, Palou's not even going to have to win the
Right.
race.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really just going to have to have fun and just. I mean, honestly, I feel like if I'm Alex Palou, my goal is to have a good finish, lock up the championship, have fun these next 2
Yeah.
races. All right, end off the season on a high. You know, and that's really kind of the big things. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of the big stuff we've got for IndyCar. What do you
Yeah, I
think?
think that's really about it. I mean, nothing too drastic changing. I guess
Yeah.
the flip flop between Newgarden and Dixon in the points, but I think that's about it. So
Oh yeah.
let's move on to SRX though. So they were in Eldora. Talk to me about that. What happened there?
So Eldora. They call Eldora the great equalizer of the SRX series, which I'm a little iffy about. Okay, like I said in the last podcast, here's what we need for SRX for a great SRX: two asphalt oval, two dirt ovals, two road courses.
Yeah.
All right, that'll be an equal schedule. Okay, but hey, after one of the guys we saw, we might need to have a drag race in there too.
Gosh, yeah, Mr. Ron Capps, the very famous funny car drags champ, um, came to Eldora. He is used to running 300 plus miles an hour uh, on a straight track and not used to really using much wheel at all. I mean, obviously you have to
Yeah,
keep them going in the
keep
right
them in a
direction,
straight line.
but there's no turns. There's no
Yeah.
turns. So talk to me about that. How do you do? How do you do?
So it was really interesting. Ron Capps shocked everyone in that race, and Joey Logano said on the broadcast he went up to him before it and he said, "When was the last time you raced something that required you to turn a wheel?" And he said the last time Ron Capps was in a race that required him to turn a wheel was 11 years ago at Eldora Speedway
Oh wow. Oh
in a late
wow.
model. So that was really interesting. But one of the cool things I thought about this race was this was the most diverse race, the most diverse field in SRX history. Two countries were represented: Brazil and the United States. 8 states were represented. We had one NHRA driver, 4 NASCAR drivers, 5 current NASCAR drivers, 3 Cup Series driver, 1 Truck Series driver, and 1 Modified Tour driver, and 2 IndyCar Series drivers. So I thought that was really cool that they're
Oh yeah.
really starting to branch out. Um, yeah, Ron Capps was definitely the one that everyone was kind of looking at, because we had the 2 IndyCar drivers, but they've got a little bit of dirt experience. They've raced, Marco Andretti was last year's champion, and Tony Kanaan, he raced a bit last year and the year before as well. So they've got that. They got a little bit of dirt track experience, but Ron Capps was definitely the big guy. Yeah, like you said, he's a funny car drag racer. Fastest run he's ever had, 339.28 miles an hour. That is, I've been to an NHRA drag race before, and I got to stand right up against the fence. And when those guys go past you, I remember hanging on the fence for dear life, thinking it was gonna blow me away.
Right.
But I mean, like the rumble those cars produce, you feel it in your bones. It's insane. But but yeah, like I said, the last time Ron Capps ever raced something besides a dragster was at
Wow.
Eldora 11 years ago on the dirt. So people were kind of turning his heads. But yeah, Ron Capps and Bobby Labonte started on the front row, but going in on lap 8 of Heat 1, the owner of Eldora Speedway, Tony Stewart, which
Yeah.
I don't know. That's been a topic of conversation. They advertise Eldora as their crown jewel event. For NASCAR, it's the Daytona 500. For IndyCar, it's the Indy 500. For Formula One, it's Monaco or it's Silverstone. Eldora is SRX's crown jewel, which is understandable. Eldora has a ton of history behind it. I'm planning on I'm at college at the University of Northwestern Ohio, which is only about an hour away from the racetrack, and I plan on going to a few of the
Absolutely.
events. But Tony Stewart was brought up in dirt racing, owns the racetrack. Is that a bit of an unfair advantage?
Little bit. I mean, he has experience there. He owns the track. He owns SRX. Part owner, I guess. Uh,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's partial
yeah,
owner.
it's a little bit of a home field advantage for him. He's probably raced there when people haven't even, noticed. He probably tests there who knows how often. And
Oh
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it's his race to lose. I think we even called it last week that Stewart was going to probably win, and no one's really going to be able to contest because, it's just his track. Um, it's his race to lose, just like almost how Joseph Newgarden is at ovals. It's his race to lose. Um, so yeah, but I mean, he's not going to sit out. It's his series. It's his track. He wants to win at his track, of course. So
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. It's a home field advantage, that's for sure. But I kind of look at it as a way as he's a threat to win every time they go to that track. You have drivers who are a threat to wins,
right,
just like we talked about earlier. Joseph Newgarden is a threat to win at any oval track on the IndyCar schedule. All right,
right.
and talk about earlier, and we'll talk about later how some drivers are a threat to win at any road course in the NASCAR schedule. So you have stuff like that. But yeah. One of the big things that came out was lap 13 of Heat 1. A huge crash involving basically half the field. All right. 6 cars were involved in the 12-car field. Happened in turn 3. And it brought out a yellow, and I think it was probably, no, it wasn't the first red flag of the year. We had one at Berlin. Or Motor Mile. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, we've had a red flag,
Yeah,
one
well,
of those
we had a
two.
red
Yeah.
flag in there as well, but I mean, Austin Dillon said a radiator hose fell off, causing water to come onto the track. Now, when you run over oil or a liquid or a fluid on a dirt track, it is very different than running it over on an asphalt track. All right, on an asphalt track,
Right.
you run over it, you lock up the brakes, and you're able to stop 9 times out of 10. All right, 9 times out of 10 on a dirt track, you're sliding. You're sliding, and I mean, it was right. It was right at the end of the straightaway, the fastest point of the track. Couldn't get there, and then just slid into the wall. Everyone, and we got other people collected up in there. Yeah, I think I have a list here of how many people. It was half the field basically, and I'm pretty sure Marco Andretti, Haley Deegan, Austin Dillon, Chase Briscoe, Tony Kanaan, and there was one Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth. He kind of got a little bit involved, but he was able to drive away. But those were the 6 that were involved in the wreck.
Wow.
Yeah, and so on the restart, which was this, I found this interesting. Tony Stewart chose to go on the outside lane, and they restarted with just 2 minutes under in Heat 1. And I thought that was a bit interesting because usually you choose the inside, but
Right.
then again, he's got that dirt racing experience, In dirt racing, you can run multiple grooves at any racetrack, a place like, and with NASCAR, a place like Charlotte, where yes, you can run multiple grooves, but you go to a place like Martinsville, where that's a one groove racetrack. All right, right on the
Right. It
bottom,
is.
right on the bottom. Where Charlotte, it's got 3 lanes. Homestead's the exact same way. You're either running the bottom, the middle, or the top. Well, dirt track racing, it's like that all the way across the board with any racetrack. All right, I mean, and I've been doing a lot of the stuff that I do at my college involves dirt racing. So I've been doing a lot of research on that. But it's really interesting to see the way that they'd find it. And this was an experience race. It was. All right. We thought that people like Austin Dillon and Chase Briscoe were going to be threats because of their dirt racing backgrounds. All right. And we even saw it with Haley Deegan putting up a hell of a fight there at the end with Tony Stewart. All right. I mean, we had
Right.
we had someone who's still trying to cement herself in NASCAR, going toe to toe with a NASCAR champion.
Right.
And that's what I
Exactly.
loved seeing. That's what I love seeing. But getting back on track here, yeah. After that, Tony Stewart went on to win Heat 1. Um, Marco Andretti and Haley Deegan strapped into the only 2 backup cars, mainly because they're the only points paying. They're the only drivers who are eligible for points that were involved in the wreck. Strapped in and started in the back in Heat 2, and I am very surprised by Haley Deegan. I mean, I'm going to be talking about her a lot with this because, I mean, Tony Stewart said it himself after the race. Haley Deegan is one hell of a dirt racer. And,
Right.
yeah, but I mean, she strapped into a backup car, no testing, no clue what the setup is, and is just able to go out there and drive it.
Yeah. She can drive. I mean, she's proven that, and she is going to have to do it the same way how everybody else has done it, and just proven that you can run with the best of the best and win.
Yeah.
And obviously, this was a good step and a big step in the right direction in her career overall to be able to battle Stewart. And yeah, she didn't end up winning the race, but still showcasing that you have what it takes, you have the skills to be able to go up against one of the best in the business. Uh, I mean, she definitely had a good day that day. Overall, not even just for her SRX confidence, but just her overall, I think, racing mentality and mindset and confidence there. It's just a huge boost in the right direction when, people are questioning how well she does. Like, people are questioning her abilities, and I think today was a good, or not today, I guess last Thursday was a good day to prove that she has what it takes.
Yeah, it's without a doubt. It's like that. I forget the year, but it was that year of that one All-Star race where Jeff Gordon really proved how good of a driver was. Where like a bunch of cars wrecked going into turn 1 because there was rain, and NASCAR's just like, well, it's not a point race. Go ahead, pull out your backup cars. Jeff
Right.
Gordon got into a backup car, won the race. In
Yeah.
a backup car that he's had 0 practice in, 0 testing in, wins the race. And so I feel like it was a very similar situation to that, where that was one of the moments where Jeff Gordon proved that he's a driver. This is one of those moments where Haley Deegan proved that she's not she's not just another Truck Series driver. She turns some heads as being the only full-time female driver in one of the top 3 NASCAR series, but
Sure.
she's really trying to step away from, because everyone always compares her to Danica Patrick. All right.
Yeah.
And she's not going to get anywhere doing it. She's trying to prove herself. And now look, we're comparing her to a NASCAR champion like Tony Stewart. All right. She was toe to toe with them. And all it would have took was Tony Stewart to maybe fall out of the seat, which, I mean, that's Tony Stewart. I highly doubt that would have happened. But it's Tony Stewart at Eldora. He knows that track like the back of his hand.
Yeah.
All right. But with Tony Stewart, it would have taken him one mistake. Haley Deegan squeeze by, go take her first SRX career win. So
Exactly.
yeah, but getting back to the heats and everything, caution came out on lap 7 of heat 2 after Ron Capps made a little bit of contact with the turn 4 wall. Ken Schrader, I love watching Ken Schrader.
He's awesome.
I love watching.
You gotta love the guy.
He's been racing in the NASCAR Pinty Series as well in Canada, and so that's been really fun to watch as well. But just like he did in the first heat, 10 laps to go, Stewart took the lead, won heat race number 2. But I'm going to tell you basically, but here, I'm kind of following my notes here. My favorite thing that happened during this race was during the intermission between heat 2 and the main race. My favorite thing happened. Brad Keselowski was helping work on his car. All right, the guy's trying to go over and get an interview. Brad Keselowski, in this beautiful fire suit, is under there in the Eldora dirt, wrenching on his car, getting it back ready to go, and I love that. All right, I grew up a Jeff Gordon fan. I can see your shirt.
You did? Why didn't you tell me that?
What do you mean?
I'm wearing the shirt. You didn't even say it before the podcast. You didn't say a word. You throw it in there now.
Oh, well, I mean, hey, but here's the thing, like, I'm a Jeff Gordon, I grew up a Jeff Gordon fan, which means I naturally hated Brad Keselowski. All right.
Oh, I hate the guy. Oh, I still hate the guy. No, I'm joking. He's awesome. He's good. He's good.
But I'll tell you right now, I gained a lot of respect for him, and I still kind of hold a little bit of a grudge over him. Now that Jeff Gordon's out, and I don't really have much of a favorite driver in NASCAR right now. I don't really have much of a reason to hate him, but I gained a lot of respect for him this weekend after seeing him. Because, like, here's the thing: this isn't a points race for him. The only thing he gets if he wins this is bragging rights, maybe a decent payday. All right, if any. There's nothing in him for this. But the fact that he's still out there working on this thing like he's running for the championship, I love seeing that. It reminded me of the 2021 Music City Grand Prix where Jimmy Johnson was helping put his car back together. I love that.
I remember that. I
love that. Yeah. But one of the big things they wanted to make really clear in SRS and in the SRX race was Chase Briscoe is not related to Nicole Briscoe. Nicole Briscoe, the SRX reporter, is not related to Chase Briscoe. They made that very clear several times during their.
I thought that was kind of known. Is that not known?
No, people were just kind of kept asking like, "Hey, are you guys related? Are you guys related? Are you guys related?" And they finally just went on there like, "We're not related."
Interesting. Well, the more you know.
But
nice.
Going into the main event, 3 out of the 12 cars. I don't know if you can hear that. There's a siren going on right outside my door.
Can't hear a thing.
All right, but Austin Dillon, Chase Briscoe, and Tony Kanaan did not start the main event. They didn't start the main event. So, but yeah, I think it was lap 45 of the 75 lap feature. Chase Briscoe rejoined the race, and
gotcha.
When asked about it, he said, "I'm not gonna miss the opportunity to race with my hero, Tony Stewart. No, I get to race for him. I've never raced with him."
Wow.
So that's something he wanted to do. Tony Stewart and Bobby Labonte led the field to green for the 75 lap feature, and it was we only had one fun caution in there, which I'm okay with. I'm okay with a competition caution, but we did have a good bit of cautions, but they were for legitimate reasons. There was a few that I felt like they were a little trigger happy with.
Right.
But I'm okay with that, and it was a lot of Brad Keselowski really fighting his car. I think I've got let's see here, Keselowski lap 21, Keselowski spun, and he spun again with 6 to go. So it was very apparent that Brad Keselowski was definitely fighting that car that entire race.
It's whatever adjustment he made under the car. Apparently, it didn't work. So.
I mean, hey, look, all right, look, say what you want, but look,
No, I'm
I
joking.
loved seeing someone of his caliber, a NASCAR champion, because you don't see these guys wrenching on cars anymore. All right, that's
No,
why
never.
that's why people like Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt Sr. were such good racers, was because they wrenched on their cars. They understood their cars.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
All right. They're the type of person when they felt something shift or they felt the weight shift, they felt something. They go back in their mind to like, I remember. Okay, I feel it over here. I remember working over here. I think I know what that is. Right? And I just love seeing. I love seeing that. I love seeing Kozlowski working on that. For most of the race, Tony Stewart had a pretty sizable lead in the battle, and the big show was for second place between Newman and,
Right.
and Deegan. All right, and that was real fun to watch. And I thought, all right, if Deegan gets around him, he's not, that's going to be the race.
That's it. That's it. Yep.
And then, we had a caution come out with 6 to go, which is what Haley Deegan needed. Now with SRX, any caution within 10 to go, they don't count laps, so they went back green
Right.
with 6 laps to go, and yeah, I mean, and they were battling. It was like we said earlier. It was fun to watch. It was great to see Haley Deegan going toe to toe with one of the greats, and yeah, Tony Stewart led flag to flag, no pun intended, in the feature. Takes his first win of the year with Haley Deegan in second, tying her best SRX career finish after going to a backup car. And Ryan Newman came home third. I'm pretty sure Ryan Newman still leads in points with 183 points, and Tony Stewart in second with 144 points. And so,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
let's look at Lucas Oil predictions. And do we think that Ryan Newman has a chance to show up, or does Ryan Newman has a chance to secure it? The way I'm looking at it,
Yeah.
the only way for Ryan Newman not to win the championship is for him to have a no show.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be pretty. It's gonna be pretty tough. Like he's gonna have a really bad day, like last, uh, to not win. I don't know the point totals by chance off the top of my head, but with 5 starts and 183 points, if I'm doing my math correctly, that's about 30 per race.
Average.
36. Yeah, 36. Yeah, he's gonna have a bad day, a very, very bad day to not win this championship tomorrow when they race. Um,
You're right. That is tomorrow.
yeah, it is tomorrow. Yeah, and so I think he wins. Obviously, the championship. Does he win it tomorrow? Like win the actual race? I don't think he does. I think he's going to look to just protect what he's got because unless something, like I said, catastrophic happens, it'll be interesting. Now, one driver I want to watch out for is Clint Boyer. He'll be in the field tomorrow. That's my lock. I think Boyer got one almost taken away from him earlier in the season, and I think he is very good. I think he has a lot of skill. I think he has a lot of fire in the tank. I think he wins tomorrow night, just without looking at any numbers. That's what my gut's telling me, but I don't know. What do you think? What do you think?
I'm gonna be completely honest. What is? Do you have the field for next week in front of you, or
Let me take a look. I could pull that up.
because I want to figure out who the whole field is, basing on my personal knowledge of them. Because but then again, I had people like Chase Briscoe and Austin Dillon being a threat. People who have that dirt racing background
Yep.
as a threat to win. But then again, we saw that something unfortunate happened, and it bit a few, and it bit a few in the bud.
So this is what it looks like. It'll be Tony Stewart, Brad Kay, Bobby Labonte, Kenny Wallace, Ken Schrader, Ryan Newman, Clint Boyer, Haley Deegan, Castroneves, Andretti, and this can't be right because he's not coming back. Paul Tracy is not
Jonathan
going to be there.
Davenport.
Yeah, Davenport, that's a good name. And then Ernie Francis Jr. That is the entire field.
Ernie Francis is coming back.
Yeah,
That's good. All
Yeah.
right. I knew him and Tony Stewart got into it a bit last year or the year before, but yeah, I mean, look, we've got names like Jonathan Davenport, Kenny Wallace, and of course, Tony Stewart. Any dirt track, Tony Stewart is a threat to win. All right, but let's look at Kenny Wallace. All right, yes, I'm biased. I go to the University of Northwestern Ohio, a school that he has poured a lot of money into. Thank you, Kenny Wallace. Wallace.
Wow. Well, I can't even say his name right. Wow. Well, you're just terrible. I hope he doesn't see this. I hope he doesn't see
This
this.
is episode
You
2.
should be you should be sad. You should be ashamed.
I should be
Making
ashamed.
fun of.
But
Yeah, I'm messing with you.
yeah, but with Kenny Wallace, he's going to be a threat to win.
I
Jonathan
agree. I
Davenport.
agree.
Jonathan Davenport. People thought he was going to be a threat to win at the NASCAR dirt race earlier this year, but he got beat up a bit, and so now with a smaller field of cars and an equal equipment, he might have a decent chance here. Now, one person I would love to see get their first win is Haley Deegan. All right.
I knew you were gonna say it. I knew you were gonna say that. I think he could. I think she could win. I think she could win too.
I mean, she's got a lot of confidence after last week. A bit of that confidence might have gotten shot down during the truck race. But that's two different things there, really. But let's look at. But I mean, yeah, I feel like if she keeps on this momentum of confidence, keeps her head on straight, she'll be able to do something. But at the same time, she's going to have to go against two of the greats, Kenny Wallace, Tony Stewart, and then, but Tony Stewart's really going to be looking to see if Newman has a bad day, And,
oh yeah.
But so yeah, that's really going to be interesting. But yeah, I think that's all I've got. You got anything else for SRX?
SRX is going to be a good race. It's going to be a lot of beating and banging out of that for sure. So
I love that.
Absolutely. So let's move on to very short Formula One segment. What do we got on slate for Formula One? We got a race coming up here in a little while, a few weekends from now. Talk about point championships with constructor and driver. What you got for me for Formula One?
So we're still on the summer break with Formula One, which means a
Right.
lot of talk is going on with the 2024 grid. And a lot of people are wondering who's going to, and a lot of this stuff people are talking about is, next year's grid. We've got people like Lewis Hamilton, a huge name in Formula One, his contract's up at the end of this year. And I'm going to be honest, the only other Mercedes seat that's open at the end of this year is at Williams.
Yeah.
And it's Logan Sargent, and I think I heard rumors of some people maybe taking over Logan Sargent's seat. I really hope not. I love seeing an American in Formula One, but I have a good feeling Hamilton, if he doesn't hang it up, which, like I said last week, there's no shame in hanging it up. He has had a monumentous career.
Oh my gosh, yeah, easily, if not the best, top 3. Yeah. So
as of
I
right
agree.
now, I said this last week. As of right now, statistically, he is the greatest Formula One driver ever. Now, agree, disagree. Numbers don't lie, okay? There's only one number he hasn't beat, like I said last week, and I guarantee you, this one number is haunting him. He is tied for the most championships with Michael Schumacher at 7.
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
And I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he replays the last lap of Abu Dhabi 2021 before he goes to Silverstone.
Oh gosh. Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's gonna haunt him. It's gonna haunt him for sure.
I mean, and it's that race was riddled with controversy. This, that, and this. It was a good race. It was good racing. Say what you want. It was good racing throughout that whole race. But yeah, the 2024 grid, it's really not looking too crazy. I don't think we're really going to see anything until later on in the season. It's been pretty quiet. But let's look at the championship. So mathematically, here are the people who have a shot at the championship going into Zandvoort in a week and a half. Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Leclerc, Russell, Sainz are the only championship contenders.
Yeah, if
The
you
way I
call them
calculate that
contenders.
is if Max Verstappen doesn't finish within the top 10 in the rest of the race, and all of these drivers get at least 26 points a race. Like with Carlos
Yeah,
Sainz, he's going to need to win and get the fastest lap every single race,
yeah, it's
and Max Verstappen not finishing the points for the rest of the
yeah,
year.
it's not going to happen.
It's not,
I mean,
it's
it's just it is what it is. I mean, Verstappen's having one of those seasons that we've seen before, and same thing even with the constructors. I think even with the constructors, yeah, it's a little bit closer, but Red Bull still dominates the constructors championship with
yeah.
Mercedes and Aston Martin right behind them. So it's kind of shocking to see the talent that's behind Ferrari, and they're not even in the top three when it comes to any constructor championship perspective. But uh, going back to a previous topic of driver lineups for 2024, Alfa Romeo has a vacancy. Both AlphaTauri spots open. The Aston Martin spot, it says it's open right now. It says Fernando Alonso, and then to be determined essentially for spot number two. Ferrari, they're going obviously with Leclerc and Sainz. Magnussen has been confirmed, but the other Haas has not. Mercedes, George Russell is confirmed. The other spot has not been confirmed, and same thing with Williams. So one, two, three, four, five, six, seven seats that are still in limbo. Drivers that are still going to be a part of the team is Bottas in the Alfa Romeo, Esteban Ocon and Gasly for the Alpines, Fernando Alonso for Aston Martin, Leclerc and Sainz for Ferrari, Magnussen for Haas. Norris and Piastri both going to be a part of McLaren. George Russell going to be a part of Mercedes. Obviously, Verstappen for the rest of his life in a Red Bull, maybe. And then Sergio Perez until 2024, and then Alex Albon in a multi-year deal with Williams. So, yeah, we definitely have some drivers that are on the hot seat right now that have not been announced. So we're waiting on those numbers. But going back to the point standings, it's a Red Bull party. They're singing in the streets. They have basically everything locked up, unless
Well,
catastrophe happens
yeah.
for Verstappen.
Unless a hurricane destroys the Red Bull factory.
At that point, Formula One wouldn't run anymore. It wouldn't be fair, right? They would
That,
call it quits. It's over. Red Bull's not
yeah,
a
I
part of
guess
it.
so.
Ah,
But
no.
yeah, we're looking at the front of the grid. We're looking at the front of the grid, front of the
Front of the
grid with
grid.
Formula One. Bro, I woke up 2 hours ago. Okay, I'm still waking up.
You need to get
All
yourself
right.
one of these, cup of coffee.
Oh, man, I can't do coffee.
Mm.
All right, but looking at the front of the grid, we have, of course, Red Bull. But looking at the back of the grid, we also have Red Bull. And if you don't already, follow us on our social media accounts. We'll shout those out here at the end. But we posted something the other day, and I saw one of the comments about who might be taking Perez's seat at the end of 2024, and someone said Yuki Tsunoda kind of deserves that seat. Now,
Interesting.
and I did think about that a bit, because if we look at the beginning of the year, or not the beginning of Yuki Tsunoda's Formula One career, he was a hothead.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, that is a lot of anger coming out of a very small man. All right, and it was
He
and it's
still is. I love listening to his radio. It's
it's
fantastic.
amazing. I love it, but but yeah, I feel like that's interesting. In my opinion, I feel like he's gonna, have to show a little bit more consistency and a little bit
Yeah.
more cooperation. But I mean, I say that we don't really even see that now with Max Verstappen. They described it as an old married couple, the way him and his race engineer talked at a spa.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
but they also, I feel like they've also got that kind of connection where, like, all right, yeah, we'll fix it. We'll make it happen. We'll do what you want. All right. And at the end, when they got done what they needed to get done, he was like, sorry about that. And he said, all good. And it's racing. I heard someone say one time, I don't care if you're the Pope, racing will bring out the worst in you. But I mean, and I've seen it
I
happen with
agree.
my own eyes.
I
I've
agree.
seen
100%.
I've seen the nicest people I've ever met just get
Just rip into
ripped.
somebody.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane what you see, what racing does to people. But but yeah, that's really kind of the big stuff with the 20 with something that you mentioned to me a few weeks back, and we didn't. And I wanted to talk about it last week, but I forgot to put it in my notes. Red Bull Nashville.
Yeah.
So you were the one who gave me the news, so I'll let you share that.
Yeah, so Red Bull does this event called the Red Bull Show Run. And basically, it's where they bring their cars out to select locations. They've done one in Chicago, or they're doing one in Chicago. They've done events in, Vegas, obviously. They've done it in other parts of the country, but they're coming to Nashville with Daniel Ricciardo as the quote unquote driver for the event. And as I read it on the website here next to me, it says the Red Bull Showrun arrives in Nashville for the first time, and Daniel Ricciardo and the Red Bull Racing team head to the iconic Lower Broadway. Prepare yourself for an unforgettable experience. Okay, there's some marketing there. Where the spectators' hearts will race nearly as fast as an F1 car. Okay, another marketing. This event will give fans a chance to witness the Formula One car up close and personal and bring everyone together with a festival and family-friendly event environment. So I don't know how deep you want to look into this, but um, it's
I
it's
mean, look, we've got
interesting.
7 Formula One tracks we can go to.
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least because of what we've seen with IndyCar and how they have used Nashville as now the championship race, the finale for IndyCar.
I'm so excited for that next year.
Yeah,
That's going to be so fun.
it's turning into something where could we see Formula One arrive in Music City? Can we handle that? I don't know. I think we could. Do we have to repave all the roads? Yes. But do you think that's a possibility? Formula One coming to Nashville?
Well, it is interesting. Like you said, I feel like as a Nashvilleian, if you will, for 20 years of my life, um, I don't see Nashville forking the money to repave Lower Broadway,
Right.
First Avenue, Fourth Avenue, the entirety of the Korean Veterans Boulevard Bridge. We had enough issues. We had enough issues trying to get IndyCar here, and we are having enough issues as is trying to get NASCAR back to the National Fairgrounds Speedway.
Right.
All right, and we'll talk about that probably in a few episodes later on. Because I've been heavily involved with the restoration of the National Fairgrounds. But but there are tracks that are under construction. Tracks like Flat Rock and I want to say Hendersonville, Tennessee. I could be completely wrong there. Maybe Centerville, but it's a possibility. And it's. I remember when you first told me this, you said Formula One just doesn't come somewhere just to go somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that really got me thinking. And I don't know, and it's, and the way I look at it is, if Nashville or Tennessee gets a Formula One race, okay. Is it going to be a 25 race calendar, which drivers are already complaining about a 24 race calendar?
Right. Right.
Which I hear a lot of people say, well, NASCAR races 36 races. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's all within the same country with
Yeah.
one race
Very
in
different.
Mexico
Yeah.
or one race in not Mexico, Toronto for the. All right, these guys, they have to travel all the way around the world. All right, so I understand that, but at what point is it just becoming? I heard somewhere else where it's basically Formula One's becoming an American sport.
Yeah.
I mean, this year we have three races in the United States.
Yep.
More races in a single country than any other race.
We are the biggest country, one of the biggest countries. Got to say that. So
that is true. That is true. But it's. And I've looked, and I've done my fair bit of research. There's a bunch of Formula One Grade 1 tracks in Brazil and Mexico that, and in Portimao, that could be fun, but I don't know. It's, as a racing fan, I would love to see Formula One in Nashville. Whether that be at a designated race course or a street course. But If Formula One decides to come to Nashville, it's going to be, I would most likely see it as a detonated race course like Flat Rock.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I didn't even think about Flat Rock. Oh crap.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Hold on. That's a totally different discussion. They would
I
100%
mentioned it
do it there.
earlier. Were you not listening?
I obviously wasn't. Why would I listen to you, Chad? I would never listen to you.
No
I'm
one ever
joking.
does.
I'm
Anyway,
joking. I'm joking. No,
um,
that's a good point because it's going to be a designated facility. It's in the middle of nowhere. Very few people are going to complain about the noise. We don't have to tear up roads. I like it.
who
I
knows?
like it. I
And
like it.
if that's the case, would it be? It becomes more of a factor. Obviously, Formula One has to go there. The FIA has to go there, check the track out, make sure it's feasible, make sure it's safe.
Yeah.
That's a very big issue in all forms of motorsports. But yeah, that's it's a possibility. I don't see it coming until maybe 26
Oh yeah, it's up there. It's not coming anytime soon. I mean, it's going to be
because
four
we've
years.
got some racetracks that have contracts and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure Abu Dhabi puts forth probably $20 million a year just to have the championship there. But if that becomes the case, I mean, having 4 Formula 1 races in the U.S.
Yeah, they'd have to remove one. They'd have to take one away because, and right now that track would probably be Miami. They're not going to take away Coda, and Las Vegas is brand new. We don't know what that's going to produce.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna talk about taking one of the tracks away, we got to see what Las Vegas produces.
Oh,
I'm,
absolutely.
I'm excited. I'm excited for Las Vegas. I love high speed tracks. I love speed. I love high speed tracks. That's why I'm super excited for Zandvoort.
Yeah.
Zandvoort. That's a really
Oh my
that
gosh.
huge bank come right before the front stretch, and then you've got Monza coming up. I always love watching
Oh,
Monza.
Monza's
I always love the high speed
fantastic.
tracks.
Yeah, yeah.
Love watching those races, and but you take those high speed, it reminds me a little bit of a the track reminds me a little bit of Laguna Seca style track and Baku. It's a
Okay.
street course. The walls are really close, but you got that long straight. But then you kind of have those long straights going into tight turns,
Makes sense.
like you see at Laguna Seca.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of see it. But yeah, you got anything else for Formula One, man?
No, I'm just ready for them to get back to racing. I'm tired of only having,
Yeah,
two races to watch a weekend, or I guess one this weekend because IndyCar's not on.
IndyCar's not on. I mean, hey, we got the other guys, but
We
time
NASCAR, like,
for
go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, time for our local racing report.
Let's do it.
So, in the last podcast, I said that we were going to be on location at the National Fairgrounds Speedway. However, that race got rained out.
Oh,
There was a little bit of controversy around that. It got called pretty early. There were some things here and there, but that's neither here nor there. So this week we are going to Van Buren, Arkansas, at Crawford County Speedway. We had the USARB mods, the USRA modifieds, the pure stocks, the stock cars, the young guns, the front wheel drives, and the mini stocks. Here's your top 3 from all of those divisions. And I just got a notification from IndyCar. Oh, I just got a notification from IndyCar. I think it just said Elio Castroneves. I'm going to go
wow,
dark here for a second.
wow.
4-time Indy 500 winner, Elio Castroneves, excited for shift into ownership role with MSR.
Meyer Shank. Wow.
Wow. That just came out as we were recording this.
That's so cool. There you go. Well, we've seen this time and time again with
Yeah.
drivers going to become owners. Look at Denny Hamlin. Look at Tony Stewart. Look at Brad Keselowski. I mean, look at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Look at
Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon. I mean, like the Jimmy Johnson. I mean, like it's not become a trend. It's been a trend. Richard Petty had
Oh,
it.
yeah.
There were Dale Earnhardt Enterprises or incorporated, I guess technically. Was it DEI, Dale Earnhardt Incorporated?
It was DEI, Dale Earnhardt
Yeah, yeah.
Incorporated. Yeah.
But for uh for Castroneves, that's awesome because he's a great personality and
Oh,
his skill and mindset going to Meyer Shank, love it, Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
without a
So that's
doubt. Yeah.
breaking live news.
But yeah, that was interesting. I was about to read off our local racing report, but then we saw that. But yeah, let's get to our local racing report at Crawford County Speedway in Van Buren, Arkansas. The USARB mods. The number 1T Chris Tucker came home third. The 00 of Carson Harris came home second, and the CO2 of Caleb Barker, no relation, I promise, wins the USARB mods feature. The USRA Modifieds, the 11M of Carl McDade comes home third. The 88 of Sam Oseman comes home second. And the 55 of Nathan Hager wins the USRA Modifieds feature. In the pure stock, number 3, Dylan Murray came home third. Number 5, Wesley Bourne came home second. And the number 27 of Rick Ederton, pretty sure, maybe, it's pretty close, wins the pure stock feature. And the stock car feature, we have the number 2M of Brian McDade. I'm not sure if there's any relation to Carl McDade there, but number 2M Brian McDade coming home third. 25 Gary Vaughn in second, and the one quarter, it was that was his number. It was 1/4 of Brandon Hunter wins the stock car feature. Hey man, you go to a few of these local short tracks, you'll see I've been to all sorts of local short tracks. You see some interesting numbers out there. In the Young Guns feature, number 13, Carly Burris came home third. 35, Dylan Hobbs came home second. Number 34, Anthony Domingos wins the Young Guns feature. In the front wheel drive division, the number 89, Alice Garrett came home third. Number 8, Mark Small came home second. Number 62K, Tom Paulson wins the front wheel drive feature. Now, finally, for your mini stock feature, the number 34 of Robert Widmer came home third. Number 4, Jeremy Taylor came home second. And number 23 of Jenny Boyster wins the mini stock feature. If you would like your local short track to be shout out on the Flag to Flag podcast, email flagtoflag10@gmail.com or hit us up on any one of our social media platforms.
Yep. And shout out to my
Yeah.
buddy Vince in Arkansas in Van Buren. He lives out that way, so shout out
Oh wow.
Mr. Vince. So
All right. Well, just look at that. That's fantastic. So let's get into NASCAR now.
let's do it. Go ahead. NASCAR Youth Series. Talk about that a little bit.
NASCAR Youth Series. So, something really cool. NASCAR Youth Series. Actually, it's kind of why I'm wearing this hat. Used to be, and it still is sanctioned under USAC, United States Auto Club. But it used to be called the USAC .25 Midget National Series, and then NASCAR bought the naming rights. So now it's the NASCAR Youth Series, and so I can proudly say that I've competed in the NASCAR Youth Series on a number of occasions. NASCAR Youth Series competed IRP this weekend along with the ARCA and the Truck Series, and yeah, here were your winners. Some of these winners have won multiple races this weekend. Some it was their only one, but here's a shout out to all of them. Case James, Caleb Cox, Faith Hopkins, Chase Bowen, RJ Dayton, Keenan Brown, Colton Hale, Gavin Gardner, Gage P.O., and Kedron Everson. Congratulations to all the NASCAR Youth Series winner. And the ARCA Menard Series, also racing at IRP. Sean Hagoni came home third. Luke Thinhouse came home after probably his best career performance. That was a fantastic race to watch. I watched that one. And Jesse Love makes it second time this year, going 4 in a row, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Pretty sure it's 4 in a row. It's either 3 in a row, second time this year, going 3 in a row. Yeah, but after the race, there was a bit of a scuffle. I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't get the names. I tried finding something. Couldn't find it, but there was a bit of a scuffle after the race between, I think, a few of the championship contenders, which was interesting. In the Truck Series, it was a clean sweep for Ty Majeski. Win Stage 1, win Stage 2, and take home the win, and advances to the next round of the playoffs. It's playoff season
100%,
for NASCAR
100%.
Truck Series, and I was super excited to watch that. Christian Eckes coming home second, and Lane Riggs coming home third.
Is Lane related to Scott? Is that his son? Scott Riggs? Do you remember Scott Riggs?
I do not.
You don't remember Scott Riggs? Is Lane Riggs related to Scott Riggs? That's a question. If we put this out as a video.
Lanyne is how you spell it.
Yep, it is the son of Scott Riggs. You don't remember Scott Riggs? He used to drive the 10 Valvoline car. The number 10 Valvoline. No, wow.
I mean, number 10. I should know who that is, but
yeah, I'm. You know, you're showing. Wow, you must be really tired. You must be really tired this morning.
I was out go-karting late last night at K1 Nashville.
Hey, I should have
That
I should
was
have been out there. I should have been out there.
Oh yeah, I'll hit you with that. But in the Xfinity Series, we saw AJ Allmendinger in the number 10 take home stage 1 and stage 2 wins, but it was the number 19 of Ty Gibbs taking home the win to get a little bit of practice, which he kind of needs it going into the
Oh,
NASCAR
absolutely.
playoffs. But yeah, um, looking at the Cup Series, something interesting came out. We actually I said last podcast that Noah Gragson was terminated from Legacy Motor Club.
Right.
That was not the case. Noah Gragson requested to be released from Legacy Motor
Right.
Club.
So here's the thing with that. I've seen both stories. What do you
Yeah.
believe? Because I've seen articles that say he was released. Then I see articles that say he requested to leave. So my head goes, okay, he was terminated, or he was requested to leave or to be released. Who requested the release? Was it actually Noah? Or is there somebody else in the picture that told him to request to leave? Was he actually
Well,
requested? Like I don't, obviously we don't know what. I mean, we could only trust what we see and what we are able to analyze. But who knows? Because both things are out there now. I don't know.
yeah, it is very interesting. Of course, there's a bunch of talk with who's going to take over his seat next year. But I'm thinking right now, I don't know. It's interesting. The way I'm thinking of it is, and this is a bit of a theory, could be true, could not be, but he Legacy Motor Club wanted him gone for what he did.
Right.
We talked about that last week. We won't get back into it. Um, Legacy Motors Club wanted him gone, but they might have tried to help Noah Gragson and gave him the opportunity to request to
Yeah.
leave, so to make it look like that, and I'm not saying he is or isn't doing this, to make it look like he understands what he did
Right.
wrong and he's taking it upon himself. Now, I'm not saying he didn't do that. There's very much a chance. There's a very well chance that he feels bad for what he did. He's taking it on the chin. He's facing up to what he did,
Hundred
taking
percent. Hundred
responsibility
percent.
for it.
Yeah.
And he's just be like, someone else is there's also the chance for him for this other thing to happen,
Yeah.
because the statement that said he requested to leave was straight from the Legacy Motor Club Instagram
Right.
page, is where I
Exactly.
saw it.
Yeah, I saw that too. I saw that too.
So that it's because we had so many news outlets saying that he was booted, he was terminated, but now we're seeing this, and it's like, obviously I want to lean towards what the
Of
actual team
course.
is
Of
saying,
course. Of course. Yeah.
but I don't know, it's definitely interesting. Mike Rockefeller is going to take over for majority of the rest of the
Cool.
season.
Cool.
But yeah, you know, yeah, I don't know. I think we're just gonna kind of have to wait and see
Yeah.
what comes
See what
out in the following
exactly.
days. But
Yeah.
yeah,
See what happens.
let's let's look at NASCAR. An upset, 3 upsets in a row, 3 weeks.
Would this be an upset though? McDowell's been very good at road courses.
That is true. He has very much been a road course person, but he's never been able to seal the deal.
Correct. I was very excited that he was able to not just win at the Indy road course, but really dominate and win with Chase Elliott on his tail, with Daniel Suarez coming in third, with Tyler Reddick coming in fourth. I mean, you're talking about previous winners of road courses. I mean, Chase is one of the best. He's going to win this weekend at Watkins Glen, by the way. Daniel Suarez, who's going to probably finish second in Watkins Glen, by the way. And Tyler Reddick, who's proven to be a great road course driver, winning at was it Road America?
Who? Daniel
Tyler
Tyler
Reddick, where
Reddick?
did he win? Was it Road America?
Yeah, he got his first win at Road
Yeah,
America
Road
last
America.
year.
So I mean, this was so important for McDowell in not just his confidence, but in his playoff push to be able to do this. He's looking to have, I think, possibly an upset championship four at the end. I don't know, but let's talk about the race. Go through the rundown. What did you see?
So I saw a lot of stuff, but one of the big things I saw was, obviously one of the new rules in NASCAR, and I pray to God that next year they do this with ovals as well, is that on road courses, no cautions
Love
for
it,
stage
love it,
end.
love it. Yeah.
I do, because here's the thing, I feel like it makes strategy a bit more predictable, you know, and that's one of the best things I love about racing is, because I mean, we see it in IndyCar all the time. I saw it all the time 2 weeks ago at the Music City Grand Prix, where teams would get ready to go and pit a car just to trick another team into getting ready to pit a car, so that way that car would come in and
Other one
the
wouldn't.
original driver
Exactly,
wouldn't come in.
exactly.
It's mind games and whatnot, but when we introduce stage racing into it, it makes it a
It
bit more
does. Yep.
predictable. Okay, because you basically have two options. All right, you either pit right before the stage end, you know, and pit right before then, or and don't pit under the stage caution, or if you can, some tracks you kind of have to play with it a little bit, but there's a good bit of tracks where you can go the entire stage distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there was only one caution on lap 6 for I believe it was Justin Haley in turn 6.
Or was it Joey Logano?
No, it was Justin Haley, because Joey Logano, he got spun around in turn
Right.
1, but he was able to
Right.
keep going. I think that happened on the
Yeah. Yeah.
restart of what happened in
Got it.
turn
Got it. Got it. Got it.
of
Got it.
what happened in
There we go.
turn
Yeah.
6. And so yeah, that was a really interesting race to watch. Strategy was a huge factor in that race. Um, Mainly because we didn't have stage breaks, which I
Exactly.
loved. Um, yeah, and so strategy was a huge effect, and yeah, I mean it
Sounds
was.
like you're bored of the race. Was it boring? No, I'm joking. I'm
I
messing with
mean,
you.
it was there was a few moments where I was. Oh, well, here's the thing: I didn't actually watch the race live, but I'll tell you
You're a
right
fake
now.
fan. I'm joking. I'm
I
messing
well,
with
here's the thing: I watched
you.
the
That's good.
highlights of
Yeah.
it later that
Yeah.
night. Yeah, but when I got the notification, when I opened my phone and opened Instagram, and I saw Michael McDowell, I immediately went to the NASCAR playoffs
Oh yeah.
and was just like, I need to look at this because this shakes up
It does. It
everything.
does. And let's actually I have them up. Let's talk about the playoff picture as it
Okay.
stands right now. We have purely off of points. If we're going off of points, let me actually change this up. Let me see if I could there we go. Points. Fantastic. So as it stands right now, 13 drivers are locked in, 3 spots are left available, with Kevin Harvick being that number 14 spot. Brad K being the number 15 spot, and right now Bubba Wallace is the number 16th spot, plus 28 to Daniel Suarez in 17th. So looking at things, this is going to put Michael McDowell basically up, I guess, technically in the 12th position due to points comparatively to Ricky Stenhouse. But what this is going to do, it's going to shake up everything because when you look below that line, you have a lot of drivers that are very hungry for a win. You have Daniel Suarez needs a win. Ty Gibbs needs a win. Chase Elliott needs a win, which he'll get this weekend. Alex Bowman needs a win. AJ Allmendinger, I mean, he's right there too. Austin Cindric, Justin Haley, all these guys right here are capable of winning races in the Cup Series because we've seen them win races in the Cup Series before. Outside of Ty
Yeah.
Gibbs, Ty Gibbs hasn't won a race in the Cup Series yet. And so these guys in this bubble spot it's very important for them to produce. Ty Gibbs, great shot at Watkins Glen. Same thing with Daniel Suarez. I think Chase Elliott is going to win this weekend, but also looking at potentially what's going to happen with Brad K. Brad K had a good showing as well. Can he keep that point total up? He's in a battle with Kevin Harvick right now because we have, is it 2 races or 3 to go? 2?
It's 2 races to go. We've got Watkins
Watkins Glen,
Glen,
Daytona,
and then we got
Daytona.
Daytona.
So
Daytona last week we already wrote off as a
Yeah,
wild card.
so either way, this is going to come down to a point position battle for that last spot. Right now, Kevin Hart.
Or last few
Yeah,
spots.
I mean, it could, it could. I predict Chase Elliott to win this upcoming weekend, which would make it to 14 winners, which would make the last two spot point positions. If
Yeah.
not a current winner is already, or a existing winner would win again at Daytona, which it would be the field is stacked when it comes to who's won. I mean, with Michael McDowell getting a playoff spot locked in, Ryan Blaney, Busher, Kyle Busch, all these guys, Chastain, they're good at super speedway. So as it stands right now, Harvick is looking from the outside in. Same thing with Brad Kay and Bubba Wallace, simply because I don't know if Kevin Harvick can win on a road course. Brad Kay has a higher chance. Bubba Wallace, good road course racer. But it's going to come down to Daytona. I think if Chase doesn't win this weekend, it's very well going to come down to that last race, which is going to be
Yeah.
chaos,
And
absolute chaos.
and who knows? We might have a repeat winner, and then it be a 3-car battle for that
Exactly,
last
and
spot.
you wouldn't have to
You
win. You
know,
wouldn't even
so
have to
that'd be
win.
really
You just have to
interesting.
finish ahead of those two guys. And well, I guess either way it wouldn't matter because depending on if Bubba Wallace or one of them have a rough day. But like if you're Kevin Harvick and Brad Kay, you're actually hoping that somebody else, a previous winner, has won because that means you're locked in. If you're one of the two, or if you're both of them, you're both locked in. So uh,
Yeah, I mean, and then Chase Elliott, like you said, I don't know. I'm not going to go ahead and say that he is going to win, but he is a threat to win.
yeah,
We've seen him
yeah,
perform good on road
yeah.
courses. I think AJ Allmendinger. I think I'm going to be honest. I think the last good chance he had to win was this past weekend, and he got tangled up with
Right.
Ryan Blaney. So unfortunately, that didn't work out too well for him. And then you look at other people who are like Bubba Wallace. Yes, he's shown good stuff on the road course, but he's also shown good stuff at super speedways. He just hasn't been able to seal
Exactly.
the deal.
Exactly.
Now I understand he has that one win, but that was a weather factor race at Talladega. Okay, he actually hasn't gone the full distance to seal the deal at a road course and we see this all the time. We see it at the Daytona 500. We see it at Talladega. It's not going to be any different for the last race of the
Correct.
regular season, nor is it going to be for. I'm pretty sure Talladega is a cutoff race this year.
It is.
If not, it's the first race. It is,
Let me double check, but go ahead. I'll look this up while you're.
but the same thing happens every time. If you are leading on the white flag lap at a super speedway race, whether that be Daytona, now Atlanta, or Talladega, it is not guaranteed whatsoever that you are still going to be there. All right, a place like Michigan or a place like Martinsville, where a good setup can really help you get in there, and if you've got something good under you, you've got a decent chance of making it all the way back around and taking the checkered. But at a road course, or not a road course, at a super speedway, a drafting track, a restrictor plate track, I'm just gonna say this right now. It's gonna be a good if we have a repeat winner this week, it's gonna be a good
Oh,
race at
100%. It
Daytona.
will be. And just to clarify, Talladega is the second race in the round of 12. So it's
Okay.
that's a big one. I mean, we may have a surprise winner there. But yeah, with two to go this weekend and next, you're looking at a very interesting start to the playoffs that start on September 3rd at Darlington for the Southern 500, one of my favorite races there. That'll be a good one to watch. So, Chad, what else we got? I think that wraps up all the motorsport news from this past weekend.
Yeah. It definitely, it's there's a few things more interesting than others, but yeah, it was a good week. Good hard racing all across the board. We got the SRX Championship coming up tomorrow night.
Yep,
Very exciting. We got I think another, not this weekend but next weekend, until we've got
yep.
Formula One. Um, IndyCar's got an off weekend. The NASCAR Truck Series, their playoffs is in full swing. The ARCA Menard Series, starting to close in on that as well. IndyCar, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I feel like Joseph Newgarden's only chance at a possible championship is he wins at Gateway and Alex Palou doesn't finish in the top
Yeah,
25.
it's going to have to be something severe.
All
Yep.
right, or the top 24. My bad, because 25. As long as in IndyCar, as long as you start the race, you get minimum 5 points.
Yeah.
All right, and then 25 and down is 5 points. 24 up, it goes up a good bit. But yeah, unless Palou and Dixon finish 25th or lower, and Newgarden wins,
Yeah.
it'll be a good jump. And then for him to, I feel like it'll be a good jump, but then he's going to probably have to do the exact same.
He's going to have to win 3 straight. Like Dixon and or Newgarden, they're both going to have to do that, which it sounds like Palou has got it locked up there for the IndyCar series. So, but with that, I think that concludes our podcast. Did we give a shout? We did give a shout out to the track, correct? To our local track. Okay, perfect. Making sure we did that.
Yes, we did.
To
we
Crawford.
gave a shout out to
Crawford County.
Yeah, Crawford County Speedway.
All right, I just want to make sure we got that locked in. But thank you all for listening to another episode of the Flag to Flag podcast. You can follow us on all of our social media channels. We're posting content daily on those channels. On Instagram, it is flag to flag _podcast. Facebook, it's Flag to Flag podcast. TikTok, Flag to Flag podcast. And on YouTube, at Flag to Flag podcast. So from John, the motorsports enthusiast. I see I'm now starting to sound like you, Chad. I can't even talk. John, the motorsport enthusiast, and Chad Barker. We will see you next week.